Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I am your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite Creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the blessings from the universe. Now, this subject has been on my mind for a few days, and it's just been interesting how certain things unfold in the brain. Hey, Chloe, Witch Moon, how are you? I know we just got done with a live stream on Milky Way um, Soul Tribe, and it was a pleasure to be there. Cosmic hugs right back to you, Delaney, Miss Pearl. And, as many of you know, I went on a 2 week journey, and it for me, meeting all my relatives and brothers and sisters and so forth, that was real important. But for me, being able to be out and about and seeing other people, not just my family, but other folks too, um, is that the world's in a whole lot better place than folks would like us to believe. My experience on the ground level of stuff, and people that, I stopped and chatted with. Hey, Susie Q, how are you? Is that, love is alive on this planet, much to the dismay, I think, of some of these people who would like to talk us into the fact that we're all racist beings and we hate each other and all we want to do is shoot each other. And I mean, it's just like that just has not been the case of traveling around the United States or the East Coast and all the states we went in, and that just was not the case at all. And so I'm thinking in terms of, for me, every nature is the spirit of love. It just is for me. And what is, the spirit? Well, and what is the spirit of life? And for my life, as I continue to attain new experiences and settle old experiences, there is a spirit to that life, but not just my life. It's the spirit of all the people's lives that I have become attached to with you, all of you folks out there on the channel. Thank you, Delaney. Yeah, I was extremely shocked in a really good way, in that I just thought I would see a little bit more strife or angst or something, and it just isn't there. It doesn't exist. So I I have to keep up with some of the news, as my job as a watchman. And what I see in the news is so far away from everything that we've seen and experienced. Now, are those facts out there? Yeah, but it just isn't what the news wants to bring it up. Um, and people are every day they're living life. So my point to that, they're living life to the best way they know how under the circumstances. And in that there is a spirit to that. So for every one of you in the chat room, anyone who watches this video, your life has a spirit to it. and it adds to the spirit of the planet. So that in our thoughts and our processes, and with the love that we show for each other, and the love that we show for nature, the love that we show for our animals, the love that we show for, in that it becomes the spirit of life. I've been mulling this over for a couple of days. Hey, Milky Way, you're absolutely welcome. I'm very humbled to always be a part of it. Um, I've already stated what Brian meant to me and the connections that we had. But he connected with everybody differently, and I think that was a good thing. Yeah, I just was sort of wound up. Hey, Doug, how are you? And decided just to go on and kind of sort of continue the conversation. I've been away for a couple of weeks now, so I thought I'd kind of fill in some blanks a little bit. But in that we knew Brian as well as we did, for each of us, we had our own stories, we've had our own connections. But in that, there is a spirit of love in that, you see, and that is his life, which we honored tonight. Um, and by honoring him the way we did, that is, we honored his life with love. So there's a spirit to it, you know what I mean? So in the quantum realm of stuff, by our honoring our friend Brian, and by all getting together and collectively sharing our thoughts on our ideas and our wisdoms and so forth, that is a spirit. There's spirit to that. We can say, well, it's the soul tribe spirit. Okay, it's the this spirit, but it's the spirit anyway. It is the spirit within each one of us, our soul spirits, and we shared that. And so by doing so, though, my experience on being on the road is that people are doing that on a, hey, Lucky, how are you? Yeah, it was a good show. Thank you. But so the spirit of the moment is carried on. After a year, we still are carrying on his spirit. So the spirit of his life, thus the title for this show. But it's, if we will truly understand it on a quantum level, on them tiny little particles in the universe, it shows us how we are all connected. It shows us that by the frequency we choose, and that frequency is my frequency, your frequency, but we've learned and we are continuing to learn this, um, each other's frequencies, so that we share these frequencies in the universe. It is, for lack of my explanation of this, is that it is the spirit of it. Okay. So we could use a bunch of different explanations or how we could describe it. But if we stick with the spirit of Brian, we stick with the idea that the spirit is life, his life, our life, my life, your life, our lives together, especially when we share it with the soul tribe. Y'all come here and hang out with me. I love you for it. Thank you. But in that, we have created a spirit. And generally, it is the spirit of love. It is the spirit of sharing. It is the experience of caring between us. And in that, we have created a spirit, okay? And we continue to create it. We continue to share it. And in the spirit, it is love between us. Now, I find that to be magnanimous. Hey, Barry, how are you? It was a little distant for me, but I put my headphones in. It was a little better. Yeah, so the unconditional love, but so for me, in having been around other people's frequencies, which, as Robert said, I need to get out more kind of thing, which, is probably true in that, it's me and Duggar most of the time. But the idea, though, that hanging around people, which I dearly miss and I dearly love to do, but I've learned that each one of you has your own frequency. I mean, I've talked with Teresa on the phone and Barry and a few other folks, as you know, but I feel that I get your spirit because of what you shared in the chat rooms and on other shows. Hey, Travis, how are you? Um, so I think I said hello, didn't I, Michelle? If I didn't, forgive me. But the spirit of the meeting, the spirit that we're sharing right now, and I felt like it just needed to go on just a little bit more, but I wanted to put my shaman and trainings kind of sort of spin on it, in that there are many journeys in life. And in our journeys, it is seldom that we can come across a tribe of folk, okay, meaning y'all, a tribe of folk who can share the spirit of life and love and connect in that frequency. You see, we are creating the frequency. I am the mediator of the frequency. I'm here. I'm just, you know, I turn it on and the spirits want to act through me, or you know how that stuff goes with me. But um, each one of you needs to understand how important your connection to this is. So it's not just me, it's not just Brian, it's not just, every one of us who are participating in the spirit of love is helping to change the planet. Because, like I said, there might be strife in places, but we drove 2,000 miles total to get me back down here to South Georgia. And in that 2,000 miles, there was kindness and love wherever we went. The stores we went into, the people that I met in line waiting on something to eat, people in restaurants, families. I mean, it's like nowhere near what you'd think that this planet actually is. And what is it? What is it? It's the spirit of love. It's people living their lives the best way they can. And in that, there's love because they love their family. They might not love their job or something, but they're getting by. They're doing what they can. And in that, the love of life and of living is spiritual. And in that, we are all sharing it. So I think, sort of as an addendum to the show Milky Way Soul Tribe, is that if any one of you, any one of us, can understand the magnitude of what not just this last year, but in the several years that I knew Brian and who was on his show, and the many discussions that we shared, and some of them very, very, very deep. But that in all of it, what was, because he and I had discussed that, what is our goal? And our goal was to bring people together to share in the love of the universe, and to share our experiences, to share this thing, this spirit of love, right? So, Pearl says, it's wonderful, ain't it? Everywhere I go now is pleasant. Lady Court is in the house. Barry, okay. But so, in for a lot of folks, you know, we have a tendency to, feel lonely at times and, or disconnected or whatever. But I, for me personally, while I was gone, I thought about y'all quite a few times, especially when I was standing in front of that waterfall and I'm feeling the energy of the water. I'm breathing it in. I was honestly wearing my uh, Milky Way T-shirt and thinking of Brian because I know that he was from up in that area where I was at, and if there was a moment that I was sharing my spiritual self was with the waterfall and was with Brian. I have 33% and 3 YouTube notifications. Um, I think it's important we ground ourselves during these times and connect. And here's a thing: if you feel like you have been disconnected, I would suggest this thought to you. Are you sure? Now, there's a lot of things that can, go your way or come your way, that can, change the radio station out there in the universe to where you don't. But here's the thing: believe always that we have made this connection. We share this same spirit. We are members of the League of Like Minded Beings. Somebody reminded me of that the other day. I have not forgotten, but haven't used that phrase in a while. But to the point, though, if you feel lonely, remember that we are out here and we still, my prayers are always still there each and every day for you all. And just to keep the spirit alive, with the spirit alive in life, and also maintain the love. So just sending out love and thoughts to y'all, and y'all doing the same. My life is so much more fulfilled in listening about Brian and having having his mom on, and so forth. The impact that a person's life can have on each of us, but then it's the continuation of that spirit that's up to us. So I feel that because of the Soul Tribe and because all you wonderful people show up and hang out here with me, is that we continue in that vein, in that spirit of things. In life, there is love, but the love is in all things. So now I'm going to get kind of deep here with that, and smoke if you got them. I've been waiting on this one. But the in being at different places where we traveled and visited, there was a spirit in each of those places. Some places were more open; it was farmland. Other places were city. Other places were, up at the mountains, and so we were at different places. But each place had its own feeling, its own spirit, and mostly it was the spirit of love. I mean, even when we went to the Air Force Museum, there was all these people and all this corona scare and stuff and everything, and people were acting normal. And it was such a great feeling to see people acting like people and not being scared or standoffish. It was marvelous. So you'd think, well, there's a bunch of crowds of people, there's, blah, 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 and everybody was just delightful. No arguments, no nothing, you know. So the spirit of love is in all kinds of places, in crowded places, in restaurants. I mean, we were in a very crowded restaurant, and people were just being people. Excuse me, let me get to the salad bar or whatever, and just okay. So where is this that everybody's scared to death and where everybody's terrified and the rhetoric that these people put out there? And from my standpoint, I look at it and say they're trying to break up our spirit. They're trying to break our spirit. They're trying to break our spirit. But here's the thing, my friends, it ain't working. They might have disrupted some folks, and I'm sure that there are some folks out there who are still terrified. But by the large of traveling these 2,000 miles in all these different places, in all these different cities and in states, did I travel everywhere? Did I meet everybody? No. But in just looking out the window, driving through towns, how people were interacting with each other, I was just like, wow, look at that. Folks are acting normal. My sister looked at me and go, yeah, they are. They're just acting like, you know, where is all this terror? Where is all this strife? We literally drove through, small town America, and we drove through Cincinnati and Lexington and and a couple other big towns too. So and Atlanta, oh my God, Atlanta. We sat parked for an hour and a half on the 75 trying to get to 265 or to 285. Anyway, what a mess. But even with everybody, being parked on the interstate, people were still not rude to one another. I mean, it was just interesting. No road rage, and there should have been, you know. But so we maintain, and from my viewing of the situation of driving around and looking, is that the spirit of America, if you want to say that, is alive and well because people want to, maintain their houses. They want to, not everybody's out to want to get rich, but everybody wants to be able to maintain. Everybody wants to keep their house cool and pay their bills and make sure their cars running. I mean, they all these normal things in life. Thank you, Teresa. If we brought people from the north and the cities through tours in the south, we might cure some. Yeah, but here was the interesting thing about that, Lady Court. I got my relatives are in Ohio, in middle Ohio, and I mean, there's a Honda plant nearby where they live, and there are these great big windmills up in the sky, and there's all the amount of cornfields. Oh my God, for miles and miles and miles, beautiful fields of corn. I'm like, well, that now I know where the corn belt is. But and other things too. But people just acting normal, and even in Dayton, well, there's be a lot of strife in Dayton, and there's where we went around, and we didn't hang around in everywhere kind of thing, but in just driving through the neighborhood with the window down and just seeing how people are acting or reacting or whatever, and it was just like it was just normal. So this hype, I believe, that we hear all the time is to try to break our spirit. And I'm quite frankly, I'm ecstatic over the fact that they're wrong. They are so, so wrong. It is not anywhere near, it might be 1% of what they may say. And that I don't even know if I would believe. There are instigators in this world. There are thieves and robbers and there are bad people in this world. Don't get me wrong, but by and by, most folks just want to live every day, and in that they love their life. They love life, which helps to maintain the spirit of the planet. So, well, there's strife in Iran and there's this and that. Yeah, there's stuff that's creepy and bad and wicked and nasty and all that. But we can, in my humble opinion, I think we should rejoice in the fact that there is this underlying very strong spirit of love for life. Now, what I was going to say about, I'm going to get deep in this, is that for every place that I visited, even if it was in the city or whatever, the Air Force Museum had a lot of people there, and there's it's a museum, but there was still an energy there. There was a spirit there, and it was a shared experience of what the museum with all those airplanes and the war and just unbelievable, right? Everybody had a different point of view. Everybody got something out of it. But at the end, they all had a spirit of adventure and of knowledge and of wanting to see what those airplanes look like and the history so, but in that, most of the folks said, it's a good thing, these were war airplanes. They had one of the airplanes that dropped not the Enola Gay, which dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, but it was the other airplane, whose name escapes me now, that dropped the A bomb on Nagasaki. The entire airplane is there, okay? And so there is something about it that you go over and touch it and you go, this is the plane that did that deed. You know what I mean? And whoever the members of the crew were, and so for me, it was very powerful um, to, witness that and share that experience with a lot of other people who I'd never met before, but, would stand and look at an airplane and we could admire it. But so, but there is a spirit to that. And so it was recognition for all those who came before. And quite frankly, I said this before, but them guys that flew in World War One in those jalopies and stuff, oh my God, they were some brave sons of bitches. Let me just, I don't know how else to put it. But so the love for the people who fought, for whether we think they fought for the good or the bad or were the Nazis or whatever, but there was love there from the museum's point of view. So in small town America, Ohio, Virginia, uh, Kentucky, Tennessee, several places in Tennessee, Georgia, of course, and people just want to be people, and in their life, they love their life. Some would rather have better jobs and so forth. But the fact that they're still trying, they love their families, they're putting their kids through school. Folks are making up their minds about getting, hit with a James, how are you? JJ, I'm so sorry I missed you, my grandson. But I did get a chance to go to Serpent Mound and kneel on the grass in a couple of places. I had really wished that I could have caught up with you, but we really were on a tight schedule and we really had a lot of miles to cover. Uh, I'm in Central Texas. The Enola Gay, what? all of them Central Texas near Temple. And my ancestors fought in every war. Then they saw it as a duty. Vietnam put a bad taste in their mouths. Yeah. And I'm just saying too, to see those aircraft and to know that they were being shot at and bombed. And I mean, they had, I'm thinking of the World War I planes. Oh my God, they were, they were kites with motors on them. It was just astounding. But the sense of duty that they had, my grandfather fought in World War II, and he retrieved dead soldiers. Oh, that's a terrible thing. I've met, you've heard me talk about the Colonel Chauvard. He was the editor publisher for every single manual during World War II. Jeeps, rifles. He was the editor in chief of all the manuals, and he was in Europe during the last of the war and so forth, and stayed in Vienna for a while and taught some things. And then when they moved back to the United States, he became a history professor at Valdosta State College. It's a university now, but to the point. So having met these wonderful people who were like on the front line, it's just amazing. Now, one of the things that you hear me talk about all the time, but I consider it very important in life, and it's the honor that we bring. So tonight I'm with Milky Way and with Brian. What's up, Duggar? That we brought honor to his memory. We brought honor to his name by our participation and the love that we showed and so forth. And in many traditions and many religions, like the Mexicans and some Oriental types who certain days of the year, like the Day of the Dead for November the 1st for Mexican folks, and they give honor to their dead, and they put up little altars and with pictures, and they give them food, and they honor those who have passed. And so to me, honor to the universe, honor to those who have passed, whether we knew them or not. Now, we don't have to get all emotional and cry and become, but simply by saying thank you to our grandmothers and our grandfathers and to all the elders who came before us, who showed us the way. My granny, whose wedding picture is still over there on the wall, how she helped to take care of us kids with, some really strange stuff. Hey, JJ, I know you were on a tight. I'm just. Well, that'd be great, JJ. That'd be cool. If you made it down here, I would definitely take you kayaking. But yeah, that'd be cool if you make it down here. But in the love and life of things, an old saying back in the hippie days was love, light, and life. Hey, Mel, how are you? So love, life, and light. So the light in the darkness is the love that we continue to share, that spirit of us. So, I'm a cranky old hippie dude that's I'm not a guru, but there are those who would, say that I am a guru. But I am a shaman in training. And, there are folks out there who are wishing for the power of the universe. And I think to myself, I what powers I have, if they are powers, I cannot imagine wanting any kind of special power to like manipulate time or something. No, no. Where that came from, I don't know. But hey, Isby, love, life, and light and joy. Yeah, well, that's just sort of part of it. Hey, Christy, how are you? Good to see you all in here tonight. Honest, 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 honest. And hope you all have a good rest of the weekend. But in nature, so as I've stated, everywhere that I went, I felt something, right? There was a spirit there, the spirit of that place, whether it have been ancestors or whoever the idea. But so in that the accumulated spirit of our travels basically all amounted to love, right? So what was the core value you hear me talk about all the time? Everybody everywhere were doing their love thing the way they do it. Up in the mountains, they love to go fishing and this, or people in the cafe, or people, everybody was doing their thing for their families, for the local community, for people that, hey Jay, how you doing? Wave out the window, and so it's like somebody stops, you're fishing on the river, you be catching anything? No, out to bite, and blah blah blah. There's a sharing of spirit and all of that, and the cordialness of it all. Where people were very friendly. We got lost up there in it, looking for my sister's friends up there in Spring City, up there in that area. Oh my goodness, the people were so nice and kind. You go in, her cell phone wasn't working. And somebody, I gave my sister $5, and I said, "Here, do I have a little bell? 3 bells? What, Mel? Or are you asking? You might be asking David Castle. Never mind." But the people were so very kind. I mean, it was just, here, give somebody $5 to use their cell phone to call our friends, and they were like, nah, here, use their phone and blah blah blah. And anyway, it was very interesting how. But for the place that we went where the waterfall was, the water bouncing off of coming off of the cliff, filling this little area, breathing in the energy, it's like there's life in that. There's spirit in the water. There's exhilaration breathing it in. And I was thinking about Brian when I was there, especially. That was like a good spot to really just like do my meditation, because I knew I was in the neighborhood of where he lived. And, that had he been alive, that would have been my time to say, "Hey, Brian, I'm up here. Let's connect." Right. So that was my way of connecting, was through the spirit and through the water, through the waterfall, through the experience of being up in the mountains, because he and I had talked about such things, and how we wanted to go to Arkansas, and how we were going to float the river, and how we were going to do these things. And so, but for me, then I was the spirit of love at not necessarily missing my friend Brian, but in that I was there, but I would imagine his essence there, watching the waterfall and sitting on the rock with me, kind of thing. And us just having, I sat there for a good half hour, and would have sat there longer, but other folks wanted to go and so forth. But so that was my time to share with Brian, if you will. And, but in that, so there's the spirit of love, there is the spirit of the energy that was in the place. It was the spirit of my thoughts and my maybe my wishes that he was physically sitting there on the rock with me, but knowing that in spirit he was. There's the word spirit again. So, in the spirit of things, I knew he was with me, and the energy of the water and so forth. And I thought of every single one of y'all. And in that, I was hoping that you would feel this really deep breath of clean, moist air. So, and that I was in an area where physically I felt I was, it's a strange thing for me to say this, but because I was in his neighborhood, I felt closer to him because I could see where he lived and, the area. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know exactly where his house was. That wasn't important, but the area in which he lived. And I'm like, the things that we had talked about and so forth, I was like, I get it, right? So I felt like I was actually sharing that. Okay. So, yeah, going up to the spirit in the sky. Don't know where I'm when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that is best. Go to the place that is best. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway, so, but for me, this my travel and meeting family and so forth, but seeing the spirit of love, um, there's more love on this planet than people realize. It may not be the way we think it ought to be, but to be honorable to everyone, to be honorable to how they live. There are some folks, that could not live down here in my little house down here on the on in the woods. Thanks for the cheer, been at the memorial services today. Much love and honor. So every day we don't have to do anything special, but we just give honor to the universe. Now, for native tribes and so forth, maybe it means burning a little tiny piece of sage, or maybe a prayer with some tobacco, or, but it doesn't have to be that special. When we remember in our hearts and in our brains, and we go, thank you to Brian, or to, my dear friend Marcia who passed away. My dear friend Serge, who passed away about a year ago this same time. These are people that I knew for years, over 30, 40 years. And to have, their passing and their energies are on the other side. And I think to myself, wow, it could be me any day now, in so many words, in that I'm pushing 70 for crying out loud. And I'm not dead yet. Don't intend to be, pushing out there. But to honor my life, this is a strange way of. I gave honor to my brothers and sisters who, some of them, like I've stated, I've just met. But in that, they gave me their honor by meeting me. And interesting, who's calling me in the middle of the night? Oops, sorry, I'm talking. Um, but the idea, though, that through it all, there is the spirit of love. It's on many different levels. Um, but people getting along, people treating each other decently. I mean, so that is the spirit of love, right? And it is a lot more prevalent than people would give it credit. But in that, I would suggest that if you ever have a slow, low moment, that it really does exist. And we are a part of it. We may not feel uh, flushed or full of love because of other events or energies or whatever. But if we just simply remind ourselves, and sometimes on a daily basis, that's why I say just go outside and just say thank you. It's as simple as that. Saying thank you to all of those spirits and beings and elders who came before us, whether you knew them or not. Just say thank you. And in that, it keeps us connected. Now, you could be barefoot and connected to the ground and all that stuff. Hey, Max, how are you? Uh, it helps you so much in your low moments. Yeah. And for those low moments, just remember that we're still out here. Whether or not I do a show or whether or not we've had a chat recently, but Michelle, I think I sent you and Teresa an email or two just to let y'all know we were still, alive and on the road. But the idea, though, that so none of you all were forgotten, as far as I'm concerned. Wondering how you were getting along. I was wondering if any of y'all was worried about us, that kind of thing. I was like, no, that's it was a strange thought that I had. But in all of that, though, I still felt the love, you know, and above and beyond meeting relatives for the first time and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all that was an immense blessing. But the core value of love was I saw on so many different levels. I felt on so many different levels. And I sometimes wonder if other people can see what I see, you know? And am I just that, well, I am a strange being. We can all agree to that one. Thank you, Michelle. You're welcome. But I know there's so many times, so many people will get into a low spot. And it's those times that concern me, not necessarily about you all in particular, um, but that we have to continue in our own lives. And I know you hear me talk about it all the time in that, accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And the blessings can be a cloud in the sky. A blessing can be going over and sitting under a tree. The blessings are all around us on so many levels. Sitting by a tree by the lake up there in Ohio, just sitting there, just feeling the wind come off the lake and people around and a couple of guys fishing and ducks and geese waddling around and little chipmunks in different places, coming out to um, come out to see what they can scrounge underneath the chairs and everything. Hey, Mossy Man. Um, so, but this idea though um, that the news and that the world that, oh my God, we are in such trouble. There are some folks out there who, oh, there are food shortages and there's this and that. Well, like I said, we didn't stop everywhere, but everything seemed to be stocked up pretty good everywhere that we went. Nobody was really like fighting or hustling for nothing. Now, again, but we did go through Cincinnati and Dayton and Knoxville um, and a couple other big towns, Lexington, Kentucky, and a lot of places along the way. And, everybody seemed to be able to get at least what they needed. So all of this prepping and stuff. Now, I'm a prepper. I got extra food here at the house. But this idea that it's all going to run out and we're all dying and everybody's going to be dead at the in the end by the end of 2 weeks, and that we're all going to be eating each other, and I didn't see it. I don't see it, you know. Um, didn't see where the people were, so crazy or whatever. I saw politeness and kindness with people who didn't even know each other. So, in my humble opinion, there's a lot more love on this planet. There's a lot more honor to people simply because some people are polite to other people. That is honor. So, by seeing people honor each other by just being kind, that brings in the spirit of love. So, is this world as bad as they say? I want to say no. Are there areas? Probably so. But I was very pleased to be able to go through of course, it was more than just the South. But it gives me great hope. And I want to pass it along to you because for whatever tragedies they want to make befall on us, there are a lot of good people out there who are and who have been, at least on in their own way. They're raising their family. They live in a neighborhood that they don't kill each other. I mean, and that we get along a lot better than the news says that we do. And to me, that's very encourageable. So if you read the news or flashing through stuff and listen to how some of this rhetoric goes, there's a lot of good people on this planet doing their best just to be good folk. Not necessarily in any particular religious way or anything. They're just honorable people living an honest day's work or doing the acting with kindness. I'm proud. I'm absolutely proud to have been on this journey and to be able to witness other folks just being other folks. Devolving by design, not by nature. Yeah. Heard something about bridge collapse. I'm not sure, um, Regen. Isn't it interesting that the Gulf of Mexico is on fire? I've talked about the Gulf of Mexico and some stuff that happened in the Gulf oil spill. Now, Didn't I do not know if the where the fire is, if it is related to the Deep Horizon event out there in the Gulf. Um, but anyway, hey Lucky, how are you? They dramatize the problems and make the bad twice to more worse. More there is a part in truth, but they want manifest the worst to gain power. Fear gives them most power. Lucky, I agree with you. Um, and from my observations, it it's nowhere near what they say it is. I mean, I expected the people to be on the streets and with billy clubs and guns and even in certain sections of Dayton and Cincinnati, and it just was not there, like what? People were just getting along. Now, could some of them be cranky neighbors or something? Absolutely. Could they be in slum areas or low rent? Yeah, absolutely. But by and generally, no, that was not the case. And I'm thinking, well, Cincinnati and Dayton, there's a lot of strife and there's been this and that, and it just wasn't it wasn't like that. It just wasn't like that. So, are they hyping it up? Oh yeah. So the more that I look at America, now I haven't been overseas and I can't speak to that. But if the hype is anywhere near what it is about what's going on here in America, then not to say that they don't there isn't strife going on in these places overseas. I know there is, okay. And sometimes it's probably underreported. But this idea that America is all these racist people that hate each other and we're fixing to go to war and we're going to be cannibals in a couple of weeks and all this stuff is just freaking nonsense. I just want to stand on a soapbox and go, stop this, you crazy people. Um, but there again, there are instances where electricity is very fragile in areas, and drinking water was a seemed to be an issue with everybody, no matter where we went. Families went and got drinking water from different locations, or this or that. None of them were drinking their own water at the house. So I found that to be quite interesting. Only the folks in Tennessee up on the mountain they had good mountain water, and you could taste it. You could taste the minerals in the water. Tasted sort of like my water here coming out of the clay. Hey, Johan, how are you? So, but anyway, so with my spiritualness in all of this, I wish to say I think the spirit of America, because that's where I traveled, that's where I live. This is where I live currently. That there's a whole lot more love and the spirit of honor and the spirit of getting along, a whole lot more than people may realize. Because they might hear something in the news, they think everybody is terrible, or that and it is fear mongering, and it is a horrible thing. And I'm so glad I had the opportunity to see how many states was I in? I'm count them again: Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio. Coming back, then it was Kentucky again, but I'm not counting that. But then we went through Virginia, and then North Carolina. So that's 6 states we went through. And the fact that to be able to see the mountains and be, see the rivers and see the people getting along and, just life as normal, but in that simpleness of life as normal, kids wanting to go tubing down the river, and families getting together for summer. Uh, David says, you came here for this experience. Fill yourself with joy as much as possible. I feel sorry for beings that never got to meet Brian. Yep. Um, you know me, I've been saying this for a while, and I will continue to do so in that, never give up, never give in, you know. Um, because for me to have been able to meet my family the way we did a week ago, or it was a week ago this Sunday, right? But that, man, it just seems like a year ago almost in a way, but that it's only impossible if you make it impossible. If you keep the door open to any possibility, then anything's possible. So, did I ever think that I would meet a brother that I never met? No, I had no, but I didn't rule it out. You see, I for a long time I just figured it would be an impossibility, but knowing that he was out there and that we had talked on the phone and okay, but to have actually met him and my other brothers and sisters, like I said, for the first time as brothers and sisters, and to have learned things and to share and to know that there has been a common bond of spiritual between us, whether regardless of what the family did to lie to us, we still understood this basic thing of love, the spirit of love, and uh, and that regardless of how we met, it was still there. So for me, it just bolsters the idea that love is all around us. Love is in the trees that are growing. Love is in the grass that grows out in the yard, or, love is in the rivers. The love is in the skies, in the clouds. Love is in the rain that falls on us. I know there are areas that need some more rain, but um, this is part of your hero's journey. I think to myself, what would Jesus do? And you're probably thinking, where did that come from? But for me, as a shaman in training, to travel 2,000 miles and go through all these small towns and see all the countryside and everything, and 6 different states, um, Jesus walked out and went eastward and studied. And imagine him growing up in the desert around Jerusalem and then going off into the east and seeing, different styles of people, the folks in India and Pakistan and Afghanistan, and depending if he traveled even further east, then, he learned these other things. So imagine what he saw from his journeys and what he wanted to bring back and tell the people. Not that I'm not comparing myself to Jesus, but I consider my journey to be a spiritual one. So in that Jesus went on a spiritual journey, I'm looking at it from that point of view. But not that I am Jesus by no stretch. But I'm in seeing and meeting the different peoples and having people come into my house, and here's a bed for you to sleep on, and and here's a no, we're going to feed you. Don't wait. Let's have coffee in the morning. So the politeness and the honor and the gratitude, and I always tried to leave something with someone for, as a little present, or I hid a crystal at my in a rock at my niece's place up there in the mountains. But anyway, um, and did a drumming a couple of places while I was gone in honor of the people and in honor of the land. I did the drum where I thought it was appropriate, and I asked permission. So, but the fact that the planet has got a lot of people who respect it, a lot of folks are recycling, a lot of folks are paying attention and um, doing good deeds for their family members and other people, and just generally just being people. We just need to keep that thought going. Believe, 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 believe. There are other people out there that honor each other. They may do it differently than you and I think about it or would do it, or but because they love nature, because they love their families, because they, what's that common word? Love. So the spirit of love is in life. It is the life we continue to lead. It is the life that we continue to talk about, our friend Brian. It is the continuation. So our spirits mingle right now. We're sharing the love on the planet. And there are millions of other people who are sharing the love, but in their own different special ways. And they may not recognize what you and I discuss, and we're way out there. But I am that way out there kind of guy, in that I'm always looking at things from lots of different points of view. But regardless of the point of view, of what someone in Tennessee versus somebody in South Georgia versus, if they're being loving and caring to their animals, and they're mowing their yards, they're taking care of the outside, they're doing things, they're mingling with their neighbors, they go fishing, they go, then doesn't matter where you're living. People are living, and they love their life in whatever way they can, and however they, you know. Now there's some crankpots out there, and there's some people who are always. You spent many hours on your channel a long, long, long time ago, Johan. I remember you being around. Uh, she dropped in a month ago to Salem. I missed something. Anyway, um, but so in the love of all things, um, did I learn a lesson? I think, there's a lesson in life every day. Sometimes you just close your eyes and listen to the universe, and that's enough to teach you something right there. But it gives me it gives me encouragement. It gives me courage. Not that I feel like I'm lacking in it, but that, is this world, this old world that's turning around, is it so really bad and nasty? Is it really such that, you know um, that we should all cringe at each other and so forth? And I just don't see it at all, and that is encouraging to me. um, Now, do people look at things the way I do? No, but so I know there are some Christians out there who are going to say, you got to have Jesus in your life or you're doomed. Okay, but in general, though, people are just getting around. They're just getting along with each other. She is asking us, where is Deb? I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. Last I heard, her sister came and got her, and she moved back down to Lutz area, North Tampa. That's all I know. Honestly, that's all I know. Um, that's all I know. But so, Mary wins. Hi everyone. Much love and listen while I vacuum. Who is erasing my ink or link? Oh. So I say keep up your good work. I say when you feel a little down about some stuff, maybe remember this little bit of conversation I'm having with you now, in that it's just not as bleak as they want you to believe. The truth is out there, as an X Files kind of thing, in that, I don't listen to the mainstream media. I have to watch the headlines on stuff, and it's just the world that I just saw for the last 2 weeks was an absolutely beautiful place, and it's America. It's where we live. I may have passed by some of y'all's house or something, being in the neighborhood or whatever. But this idea, though, that the world is going to hell in a handbasket, we still have some, um, major issues. We have minor issues. But I think all in all, people are willing to work for a solution if a solution is given, rather than folks just pointing their finger at us and going, you will do what I tell you. And people are just going to go, no. And a lot of people are just have had enough of that, the folks pointing a finger at them and telling them what to do. And they're making their own decisions. They're making wise decisions, and because they're doing their best to be informed. So, but this idea, though, that we're all a bunch of heathens and we're all going to die and we're all, heading for hell and all this kind of stuff. I know there's some bad neighborhoods in this world, but by and large, people just want to get along. And I find that encouraging. That is the spirit of life, and it is love. Make tomorrow an awesome day. Yep. Good night, Chloe. I'm going to say good night here too. America the Beautiful. We're strong and resilient. I was amazed at the different places that we went, and talking with people at the hotels and the motels and the restaurants, and people at the supermarket, and going into stores, and just like, I just didn't see what all the fuss is about. You know what I'm saying? And everywhere I went with a smile. So I hope this has been encouraging news in that, um, we should be proud of what we do. And, I mean, for me, I'm like, let's reach around here and do the old pat on the back because, we continue to maintain, how do I say this? I'm not egotistically, but I try to maintain a high sense of love, a higher sense, because that's my job as a shaman in training, is to the time that I have, I focus on these things where other people are busy with jobs and so forth and that kind of thing. So, and it's sort of what an elder would do in that, thinks about and prays about the folks within his tribe or her tribe or, whoever that elder may be. And that there's power in that meditation of old people, especially when it's used correctly and with the right direction. So for me, it is the continuation of listen, I continue to send love to the universe. And I'm not doing it, I'm doing it for the act of love. All right. I'm not doing this to try to win any brownie points for when I make the crossover, you see, because I have to do it with genuine love without any expectations. And so I send out love to you all. And I know that I hear Teresa in my head sometimes, or Michelle, or Barry, or somebody, and, and I'll go, oh, somebody, or Lady Spitfire, or somebody will, their name will pop in my head, and I go, well, hope they're okay and everything's all right, kind of thing. So, and in that, it's the continuation of the thought. So, in the spirit of the thought, in the quantum energy of it, see, I always uh, boil thing down sort of scientifically in that in the quantum realm of things, all of these things are attached, all of these things are connected, all of these things are part of the whole. So for me, I look at it in that all these tiny little pieces and everything. Good night, Mel. Blessings be upon you. Stand up for the ground you live on. It's your home. Yeah. And give thanks to the universe because of where we live in the universe as well. When you go outside and look up at the sky or the stars, just say thank you to all the spirits and to all the energies and just to the universe that, this planet is still here. So having joy along the way, and Sam and Julie and whoever, I'm kidding, but having fun along the way, like sing a song, whistle a happy tune, looking out my back door. Just got back from Illinois, locked the front door, oh boy. Got to sit down and take a rest on the porch. Imagination sets in. Pretty soon we're singing, do it, do, looking out my back door. Well, there's tambourines and elephants a playing in the band. Won't you take a ride on my flying spoon? Oh, do, bother me tomorrow. Today I'll have no sorrow. Do, looking out my back door. Anyway, but to, live, love, and laugh, you know, even if you're by yourself, um, you know, I think sometimes I've done some really crazy antics over the years that have got people to smile. And and I will probably do some more, but the idea here is that, to smile about something. And if I can, if I can strike a familiar note to where you will giggle about something, Dave did something the other, or Hawkeye, he's one crazy son of a bitch. Whatever that is that stimulates that thought, I say, okay, good job, Dave, in that it will make you laugh, or you'll have a thought, a song will come in your head, or, that's something that Dave would do, or whatever it might be, And I'm not trying to be egotistical about it. I'm saying that I'm proud if I can leave you with a thought that will put a song or a smile on your face, or giggle about something I said or did, or how I acted, or whatever. And that's part of my job as a heyoke, as part of my job as a shaman in training. So, um, to lift our spirits, to keep our spirits lifted, even in times of terror and horror. But here's the thing: that isn't what I've seen. So why should we be living in terror or in horror, or that it's so bad out there that it's like, but it didn't, So shouldn't we all reconsider just a little bit that, wait a minute, um, these people are really lying to us. I mean, they're not just stretching it, they're really, really lying to us. They want us to, they want to kill our spirit. That spirit of love, the spirit of honor, the spirit of friendship, the spirit of America, however you want to look at it. Now, I live in America, so that this is where I see it, kind of thing. Um, so let's be encouraged by each other. Let's be encouraged. I know y'all didn't get a chance to see what I saw and experience what I did, but you know me well enough to know that I wouldn't be lying about this mess, because it has astounded me in a very good way. So I think we should become even more hopeful that regardless of what might befall us as a human race, whether it be aliens or uh, you know cosmic rays. And yes, we're getting hit with some heavy duty X rays and so forth. There was a low level blackout from one of the sunspots the other day. Yes, we should be paying attention to those kinds of things because we're long overdue for a Carrington event, right? What happened back in the 1800s, it fried all of the telegraph lines, killed a few people that were like doing the tapping when it hit. But it doesn't mean we have to live like, that we have to be scared all the time, and that people in general are going to try to help each other, because those folks who find that it's all for one and none for all, they're not going to last very long, because communities are what's important. It's the tribe of things, it's peoples in neighborhoods, it's the community of things. And so I see people going to be more willing to cooperate and to help. I mean, for every time a tornado or there was a tornado that went through Dayton when we were up there, and there were people out on the spot with chainsaws and helping this man fix his barn, and there were cattle trapped, and they lost some livestock because the tornado hit a barn, and there were people out there immediately from the neighborhood, and despite the storm and the rain or whatever, they were there to help, and they brought cattle trailers and so forth to help. I mean, so it's like, and around here, when that hurricane hit so many years ago, the tornado went over the house, and um, You know, how many people were out helping each other, checking on folks just to make sure that you know, they were okay. And if they needed to get out, could they? And, you know, just amazing. So this thing about, you know, that the world, I think whatever the world presents us, Mother Nature can be fickle. There's a storm brewing down in the Caribbean, man, that might come right up to Florida, you know, and wipe some folks out or put a lot of rain down, whichever. But it's Mother Nature. It is what she is, you know. And God forbid that Mother Nature should change to where there aren't any storms ever. And, you know, now we've had like 6 inches of rain here. They had a lot of rain while we were gone. I've had quite a bit of rain here since I've been back here these last couple of days. But, you know, I remember back in the day when I used to travel up here on the carnival in the summertime and how it would rain in the afternoons. It was normal. You could see the clouds building. And nobody talked about global warming or anything about that stuff back then. It just was a summer day in South Georgia. It's sticky, it's hot, it's muggy, yuck, you know. But it was sticky, hot, and muggy up in Tennessee, and you know, and in Ohio. So it's like that is what it is. You have to tolerate something, no matter where we're going to live on this planet. And unless you plan on going off planet, then you're going to have to deal with whatever is out there. So um, just make the best of it, you know, whatever the situation is. If it's too hot outside, then don't go out, you know, or be careful if you do. If it's too cold outside, then, you know, and there's ice on the sidewalk, then be careful, you know. So all of these things, you know, people have been dealing with them for millennium on this planet, you know. So let's not get our you know, our panties in a bunch, because Mother Nature is being herself, you know. But understand that there is a spirit in every rock, tree, grain of sand, every every blade of grass, everything has the love of the planet in it. You don't see two blades of grass wanting to kill each other or to hurt us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, there are sandstorms, but if you go to the beach, it just lays there. It doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? So, but there's energy in sand, in the water, in the air, and the combination of those things. And in that, there is the love of Mother Earth because she is love in and of herself, although she gets cranky at times. And you and I, our spirits, as we contribute to the love of the planet, for the love of nature, for the love of life, for the love of each other, it becomes a part of the energy of the planet. I absolutely firmly believe it. And the more that you and I will believe it and continue to do what we're doing, we're making a difference. It might not show in the news, but from people to person in neighborhoods and in different places, at least the six different states that I was in, that, you know, we're pretty good people here in America. We're pretty good people on this planet. We do send out love. We do honor each other. We do. But a lot of people honor Americans. They honor the military. They honor, so they show this honor. Uh, so anyway, honor the loved ones we have that are here. Continue to honor those who have passed, and I think we're going to be okay. I'm very much encouraged, and I want you to be encouraged. And if you feel down or low or whatever, Remember what I'm talking about and just look around for yourself. Is it really that bad? Or is it other people's perceptions? Or is it though? And look, we all know there are some nasty beings out there who want nothing better than to break our spirit. Don't give in. Believe, 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 believe. Don't give up. You know, I know my story about visiting, seeing my brothers and sisters for the first time. Believe that, miracles can happen. Believe that things can work out. Believe that there is more to this universe. Just believe it, you know, and the miracles will show up every day. So, much love, everybody. I'm going to get off of here. I was on for 2 hours with Milky Way Soul Tribe. It was an honor, and been an hour and 30 minutes here with you all. So it has been fun to be back. I'm glad to be back. It I'm still hurt from falling in the on the riverbank there against the tree and all that stuff. I got several boo boos I didn't know I had, but I could like, what the hell is that hurt for? And I was like, oh crap, I got a I got a spot right there and another one back here on the back of this elbow and everything where I crashed. But so yes, we're going to have cloudy days, but we're going to have sunny days too. So, don't let any one particular day ruin your life. You know what I mean? Because for every moment in time, there is an opportunity to make a change. And so when I was away, I'm used to my lifestyle here and whatever, right? So, but I modified my behavior and modified my, go outside to smoke a cigarette or whatever. And it was interesting in that, I don't know, learn. I always have respect for somebody else's stuff, you know. If I'm in your house or whatever, I'm going to put my dishes up. I'm going to do something. You, if you're talking to me, you're welcome, Johan. Just don't give up. I'm telling my story, yeah, but just look in your own lives. I mean, Teresa, not I'm going to pick on you, uh, but for what we shared about Brian tonight, and you know, yes, we all learned something from our friend Brian, but at the same time, we've learned from each other. So it is in this spirit of love and life, his life, my life, your life, our life. And so some days I feel close to giving up. Michelle, you can't do that. Hey, Slightly Slanted, how you doing? It was good to see you tonight. Michelle, you can't. Yeah, don't and won't. There's too many of us pulling for you, Michelle. I mean, don't give up on us, girl. There's too many prayers that are said on your behalf. So take faith in that, you know? This is just sort of for an example. My brother Andy, he's called me. Well, let me back up. 5 or so years ago, when we made a trip up to Chillicothe, he drove over uh, from Dayton to Chillicothe. And after having been there, it was like, that was a pretty decent ride. And we just met and hung out for a little bit, smoked a cigarette, and he's called me several times from Ohio. But until I actually hung out with him, I was like, the love that he has shown me over the years, having only met briefly, by calling me up and checking on me and so forth, I I can tell you that before my this trip, I didn't know how to react because I didn't know my brother Andy. Now that I've met him, hung out with him, smoked a bowl with him, went to dinner and eaten, hung out, that how much he has loved me from afar as brother, sibling, whatever, and how I didn't understand what that meant. So I'm like, he called. I'm gonna call him and mess with him more often now because I've met him. He's not some person that Well, we're related, but uh, Hawk. I've been to good coon hunt and swim contests in Canton, Ohio. Hey, listen, I want to go back up there to Russell's Point and go ice fishing with my brother. I mean, I yeah, I want to do that. um, but in this grand scheme of things, there are this is what I learned. He called me up before I met him this time, and he called me out of love, and friendship and so forth. And I honestly didn't know how to take it because I didn't really know who he was. But now I realize after the fact how special his phone calls were to me. I mean, they were special anyway, but now they mean even more because I've hung out with him. So there are times when you may think, and I know in my lifetime I'm down here by myself in Georgia and nobody's really cares what, Dave's alive or dead or not or whatever. Then you find out later on that they may not have called you, but they were thinking about you and they were sending you love. And that, you think, well, I'm all by myself and there's nobody out there. And then you make contact with like me and my brother Andy, and you find out he's been sending me love all along. He's been sending me good thoughts. And so have the other siblings, my sister Amy, I got a phone call, a message when I got home, and it was from her. And she had called the day we left and said, I can't wait to see you all when you get here. So I haven't erased it yet, but I'm going to call my sister Amy back uh, and make sure she's doing all right. She lost had breast cancer, was over it, but maybe having some kind of relapse. So I want to keep up with my sister Amy. And I want to keep up with all my siblings more than I have in the past. This last week for me, and now this is about the honor and the love and so forth, and them knowing that we were going to come up, and so there was anticipation, and there was a lot of questions answered that some of them didn't understand for a long time, and I could fill in with things that I literally witnessed as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old before any of them, some of them were even born. So, but anyway, um, you never know who's out there thinking about you. And Michelle, there are a lot of us who, send you prayers. So, but to all of y'all, because you, we are part of the Soul Tribe. You're part of my dear subscribers list. You're my dear friends. And we are all members of the League of Like Minded Beings. We are all connected. And the more we share and the more we do, the more this connection strengthens and the stronger the spirit of love continues, not just for Brian, but for all of us. And so I think that's important. Um, so, anyway, my love to you all. I have run out of drink. And I've been sitting in this chair now for almost 4 hours, and somebody keeps calling me. Our soul tribe is everyone in this world. Yep, yep. And see, and that's, I think that's one of the, the really good things about this is that um, persistence. Persistence is futile. uh, but there are times when, daily chores, routines, and things and stuff will just snatch a knot in your rear end, and you might feel like, holy crap, the world is, is nothing but a toilet. But, you know, um, where would we be without toilets? Having to crap in the woods and using, leaves to wipe yourself with. You say, well, my life's in the toilet. Okay, is it porcelain, or is it a pit toilet out in the woods somewhere with flies and geeky shit, Uh, Being in the crapper, it might depend on, if there's a bidet beside the crapper, you know what I mean? What the hell's a bidet? Okay. I leaned over one time and touched the thing and got squirted in the face. I know what a bidet is now. Like, ew. Gold plated toilet, right. You know, but anyway, but so, being in the crapper might not be such a bad thing if it's a good crapper. But anyway, and I did some work for a guy. His name, honest to God, his name is Max Crapper, and it's spelled exactly like it sounds. But he ran an auto body shop down in Thomasville, Georgia. A really nice guy. And but honest to God, I looked at him and I said, "This is really your name, isn't it?" And he goes, "Yeah, Max Crapper," and he had a business card and everything. But it was some kind of body work automotive thing. Um, he didn't, So yeah, my car's been to the crapper. Hey, ST, how are you? Uh, yeah, I'm just hanging out. TMI? Oh, yeah, probably. Uh, but anyway, so I just wanted to say though that in the 3 weeks that I've kind of sort of been gone, I haven't been out of touch. And if anything, it's been the word resurrection just doesn't sound right, but I'm going to use it. A resurrection of feelings, and not so much that they were hidden or hiding, or there are things that I think I just needed to be reminded, you know, just by being back in the mountains again. Here's one thing that I've noticed by observing other people, and it's that some people have certain rituals and they live by these rituals. But if you stop and look at what the ritual is, it only works for them, whatever the ritual is, whether it's, you know, doing something with the coffee pot before you make coffee in the morning. Um, or you use you put the coffee in a particular way, it just, but to the bottom line is it only means something to the person who's doing the ritual. Now, I don't mean like a ritual, like, a ceremony kind of ritual, but, they do the same thing the same way every day. There's no change up, like I do coffee. Okay. And I'm adding coffee into the top of the pot, right? And sometimes I use my left hand to put the coffee in, just to use my other hand, where I'm right-handed and I usually do it with that. But where the coffee pot is, it's actually more convenient for me to use my left hand and put the coffee in. So now with auto wipe feature, yeah. But but in these rituals though that folks do, and well, they do a particular thing, but or they got to have it a particular way, or something's got to just be. It's only good for them. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's when folks try to convince you that what they're doing is for the good of you. Now, that's where I got to go. Now, hang on there, you know, hang on there, Retta, just hang on to your drawers for a second, because you do that little ritual you do for yourself. And if it makes you happy and it makes you smile and it makes your day go by, I got no problem with it. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to try to convince me to do that ritual for my benefit, I just have to look at it and go, sorry. Um, Ergonomics. But so anyway, there are things that I've noticed that people have gotten themselves into, whatever little rut that it may be. I was thinking about one of my siblings who how they cooked bacon. It was a really good way, but they had their way of how they cooked bacon every day or when they cooked it. And not that it was bad, don't get me wrong. I'm not, but they had to get out the thing and it was tilted and the grease ran off and the bacon was really good. And I don't eat bacon very often, like seldom, if ever. And I ate more bacon, at my brother John's house than I have in like 2 or 3 years, But anyway, he cooked it just right. I was like, there you go. But and there's nothing wrong with the way my brother John cooked it. Okay, but in a way, it was a ritual because he learned how to cook it this way. I have a ritual when I cook eggs in my cast iron skillet. There's a particular way I whip the eggs and mix this and that and put it in and put the lid on and then I add cheese on top and so it is sort of a ritual in that of that stuff, but it's only important to me, or it's only important to John, or it's only important to the person who's doing it. So I found it interesting in that uh, at least in the folks that I met, that they were tolerant of those kind of quirkiness things. Like if that's how you make the bacon, fine. I don't have a problem with it. Oh, if that's the way you do make a whatever, fine. Oh, well, this is how you do, not a problem. You know. So my sister Amy, she made a pineapple upside down cake thingy that we just kept nibbling on for 2 days. She also, the family loves how she makes her baked beans. So her specialty is baked beans. And so it's like, so whatever these folks do, some of their rituals or however they make whatever it is they make, in that ritual, in their cooking style, in the love that they partake in this, see, it's all connected. It's the love they put into how they do it. So whatever the ritual is, my sister Amy does with her baked beans, everybody was like, Amy's baked beans because she puts love in it. Hey, Sandra, how are you? Have I missed anybody? No, I don't think so. But anyway, so I know I'm just chatting and visiting with y'all and everything, but in all of these things, I looked at them, and it's just everyday normal stuff to them. But I saw in the rituals that they did, especially for each other, the love there and the spirit of love and the intent that they put into it, whether it was cooking bacon or making the upside down thingy or the baked beans or whatever it was. There was love, the spirit of love, and the intent in there. Now, that was with my family, but also with the grandchildren and the children, and but also and other people that we met while I was up there. So it wasn't just family, but it was interesting to see how the family, uh, how they've worked it out over the years. Baby makes the baked beans, and and Johnny cooks the chicken. Okay. So and he did well with the barbecue sauce, gotta say. Um, but for whatever the rituals are that we perform in our daily lives, how I cook my eggs or whatever it might be, if we are doing it just simply because we do it the same way every time, but there is love in there, okay? Understand that the spirit of why we do some of the simple things. What's our intent? Well, I want to make a good cup of coffee because my intent is to drink some good coffee. But then even though nobody drinks my coffee here at the house, I love it, you know. So I'm going to make it. So I do it with the intent that I'm going to make a good cup of coffee. So, and it's going to nourish me and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, there's more to it. Me living by myself is different, but in watching how other people share and live and do, um, that these rituals take on a spirit in and of themselves. And in that spirit is love and honor for whoever it is that they're doing it for. I mean, we were in a restaurant, a lady waitress, very nice. And she was like, "How y'all doing, huh?" And we were like, my sister was there, and we were like, "We want you to take a picture of all of us because we we've this is our brother we've never met." She was so grateful. We left her a really good tip too, but she came in, she was all, "Well, here, y'all get together, and oh my goodness, y'all just met and all this." And she waited on our table really well. She took really good care of us in that respect, but also in taking a picture and doing this. And then later on we said, "But the picture didn't take, would you, well, I'll come take some other pictures. Here, come over here and stand up." Absolutely delightful people. So even in restaurants and in places with folks we had never met, people were kind and considerate. And so, I'm just curious, have you smelled mothballs? How did you get the tiny little legs apart with tweezers, Max? With tweezers. But anyway, so hey, Dominic, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, there were a couple of jokes that went around. I can't remember them right now, but that made me giggle a time or two. But yeah, good. All good there. Good. You know, in talking with um, my brother Dennis, who they renamed Michael, and he doesn't like the name. Finding out that we both had sort of a spiritual kind of mission, if you will. Um, he does Bible classes kind of thing on Sundays and on the weekends, especially when they travel around and do their. Um, it's sort of like a pioneer flintlock kind of thing. So, and reenactment of sorts. But on Sundays, he's become known as someone who read the Bible and do a little pastoring and so forth. And so I found it interesting that in a way we both have a spiritual journey that we seem to need to share. The need to have conversations with people and about spirituality. Now, he's more of a Bible oriented person than I am. Um, but and you know, I don't discredit the Bible. Uh, some of this prophecy stuff and all that, I'm just like, okay, what did Jesus preach? Let's talk about that. You know, let's just, you know, forget about all this other nonsense and some of these, you know, anyway, let's just talk about the basics. That's where I'm at with the Bible. And forget the Old Testament. It was a good story. Okay, fine. But, you know, people who want to keep bringing up the Old Testament. Anyway, but to the point, though, what his purpose that he feels is to help people spiritually. And if it's from the Word of God, from the Bible, and everybody accepts it, then he's doing a good thing. So I'm hoping that by sharing the knowledge and the wisdom from the universe that I can acquire with y'all, and that you will, you know, it is about saving souls, and that uh, only you can, you know, um, do that yourself. But by providing folks with a chance to meet and greet and share and understand and talk about stuff, you know, that's spiritual. And in so many words, there, you know, that's how I'm being saved from the clutches of the evil demons, because I stood up and said, no, no, I ain't going there. You can't have me. And, you know, of course, I've had a few visions of folks who have encouraged me and told me over the years that, you know, this is a necessary thing, that, you know, I'm here with you all to have these conversations and to share in friendship and love and honor. And that we are all making a difference, and we can make a difference, and we do make a difference. And, you know, we need to keep up the good work. So regardless of where we're from or where we're going, you know, we keep up the good work. I think that's what's important. Yep. So but anyway, um there does seem to be some interesting things in the works as far as prophecy. I don't want to go there per se, but in that a lot of farsight and um, because there are some really wicked folks um, who are trying to do really wicked things to us. But for me, the encouragement is let them try. They're already trying. But most of humanity, at least from my observations and my travels here, that we're going to work it out somehow, regardless of what it is, Mother Earth or the space giants or cosmic rays or the sun can and quite possibly may do to us. with the Carrington event. A Carrington event is a really strong solar event, and it will fry electronics. And we had a fairly major event the other day. So the fact that, it could happen again is, of course. When and where and should we be scared? The answer is no, but we should damn sure be prepared and be aware. We can't live under a rock and say, well, no, it will never happen, because we just got hit with one the other day that was kind of sort of close. So, but so we have candles and we have things that we know that we should be prepared for, like it's hurricane season. I live in South Georgia, but we get hurricanes up here a lot of, from the storms and the wind and so forth, especially rain. And so it's summertime, it's hurricane season. Y'all prepare. Period. You got extra candles, you got your stuff, because guess what? It's hurricane season again. Okay. I'm 68 and a half years old. It's hurricane season again. you know, this is not something new. It's again, it's repetitious. So some seasons have been worse than others. Some winters are worse than others. But I can remember when it's 9 degrees outside here, in the wintertime. But it hasn't been that way in a while. Doesn't mean that it ain't never going to happen in my lifetime again. But I witnessed it. I was here. So, but for me, the things that I try not to look at towards future events, because some of the things that I've seen of, like, boy, and some of the things have happened. But here's the interesting thing: in the one dream that I had about the Braves on horseback that I've talked about before, it's that mankind has a choice, has always had a choice, like to pick up the rivers and to be more, recycle, and to be more humane to one another. And, so you listen to the bad side of the news and everything's horrible. But when you look at people and how they're actually acting and reacting and living, you go, but that's not what's really going on. People are being more careful. People aren't throwing trash out the windows like they used to. People are many of the states, a lot of uh, chain gang workers, but picking up garbage on the side of the road to keep the highways clean. And a lot of the places on the highways, whether there was anybody that picked it up or not, they were clean. And I was like, good for America. You know, People care, people are more aware. And so, this idea that we are just a bunch of crusty old people and nobody gives a crap, and to my humble opinion, is just, you know, not the truth. So, oh, you still around? Oh, 223. Okay, gonna smoke a bowl with y'all. I love you, JJ. I do. Wish I could be around you more, and if I could get back up to Ohio, I will. But if you make it down here, you're younger than I am. So we treat each other with with as much dignity and honor as we can. Now, there are going to be some of them people who do not want to be. They're just going to be ugly about it. But if we don't get ourselves riled up, you try to be nice to somebody and all they want to do is be grumpy. Well, don't get grumpy back at them. Shinga Kadita, kill them with kindness. So, they want to be grumpy, just say, okay. And don't beat them in the head with it. Well, if you're just going to be grumpy today, and don't egg them on, right? But you can keep that in your head and go, well, if they just don't say it out loud. You know what I mean? Well, if they're going to be grumpy today, I'm just not going to let it bother me. Kill them with kindness. Yeah, that's the answer. You love bouncers as much as, but anyway. So, but with the love of the universe, and to some people, it's like, oh, Hawkeye, all you want to talk about is love this, love that. Yeah, okay, but um, if we just stick with the basic spirit on the quantum level of things with our frequency, and if you believe in that, the frequency thing and the quantum, and how we're connected in the universe on a molecular level, some folks are just right over their heads, right? It's okay if they don't get it. And in some instances, watching some of these folks while I was gone, and how their interaction with nature is not the same as mine, but it's similar in that they understand the spirit of nature and the energy that's in nature and the love they have for nature. And so it's like, and that in itself is spiritual. So, but from my point of view, which is a lot more, stretched out, twisted, and warped and everything, to look at things from all different angles, some folks are just very simple about it. Well, I love nature. Well, what's wrong with loving nature? I love being out under the trees, and I love putting my feet in the creek water. I love it up there. I wouldn't move out of here for nothing in the world. And why would I move? This is paradise up here. Yep. They don't, in my humble opinion, they don't have to talk about God or any religion or nothing, because they get the basics. They understand with their feelings and their heart and their soul what the earth and what nature and so forth is um, means to them. And somebody who will drive 300 miles to go find ice on a lake to go fishing in the wintertime, well, there's a love there about it that transcends all common knowledge and any rational thinking from some human being's point of view. But for those who go ice fishing, which I want to go, that they have to go. It is the love of the sport, of the doing it, of the trip, of the there's love in all of it. And it's the nature of, frozen ice, and digging a hole through the ice, and it's the love of life. It's the spirit of love through life. You see, it's all intertwined. So I've been yakking for 2 hours now. A real freak does not love nature. Yeah, you love getting naked outside. Yeah. Saw some surface ground missile the other day that needed a support team. Yeah, there was some low flying aircraft that was over the house here, too. I mean, low flying aircraft. And we've got MacDill Air Force Base that away, and we got I can't think of the name of it anyway, but over in Alabama, just across the line, that back behind me, kind of thing. But anyway, so but yeah, there is some crazy stuff in the world. Yeah, but you know, I think we should continue to focus on the little things that mean a lot. The loving way that my sister makes baked beans, and how that love is shared. I mean, that's just a minor example, but in that there is spirit, the intent, the love, and it's all over the place. There are people who make, homemade biscuits. They make them biscuits with love. Now, I'm telling you, you know, that you don't know how come them biscuits are better over here, because that person makes them with love. Good night, Max. Blessings to you. Yep. And keep up the good work, Max. So, anyway, I'm getting out of here too. Thank you all. Much love for hanging out with me and being there. Keep up the good work. I mean it. 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 Keep up the good work, you know. Um, and just for instance, is if it seems like um, life has put out stumbling blocks, check and see if maybe you're part of the reason that you stumble on the rocks. And I say that because I fell on the river on the rocks. And I should have paid a little bit more attention before I put all my weight on the on that rock that turned sideways and threw me like a, you know. Um, so sometimes do do we see where we might trip and we trip anyway, or are we just not paying attention to those things in life that will trip us up? And I don't mean physically look down, but maybe it does mean physically to look down at where you're walking. But our walk of life, baby, do the walk of life, do. Anyway, so in our walk of life, are the stumbling blocks there, put there, or are they, like a natural occurrence and we make a big deal out of it? Or sometimes we can make a mountain out of a molehill, and sometimes we look at a molehill and it's really a really big mountain. That works both ways. But so there are times when we can be our worst enemies by, oh, there's stumbling blocks there. Oh, there's, can't get down to. I was thinking about going down to this waterfall up there in Tennessee. And oh, it's so steep, I can't get down it. And oh, the rocks are so loose. And all it was one step at a time and taking it easy and got down to the bottom and being careful, that's all. So, yeah, I'm not quite as sure footed as I was back in my younger days, but I crawled down the side of this hill and crawled back up it too to get, back up to the car. So, but it's one step at a time. But oh, it's too steep. I can't do it. Well, then you're not. And I was like, well, it's pretty steep, but if I take my time and use my walking stick, because I want to go see this waterfall, right? So if had I not taken the trip and walked down the side of this mountain, which it was a little slicky in places, but still made it down and was able to enjoy the sight. They went back up and got my sister, who was very reluctant to come down the trail, but it gave me a really nice opportunity to sit and wait on them. But that she was so glad that she had made it down the hill, despite how steep it was and how she wasn't sure if she could make it. But they helped her down, and she was very, very glad that she had. And I was like, see, sometimes, you have to push our own boundaries, and that we're out of our comfort zone. But even if we're out of our comfort zone, we can still tolerate it in that we take one step at a time. So the stumbling blocks that come to us in life, We have to look at it and go, wait a minute, I don't know, I can't get over this mess. I blah blah blah. Before you go there, make sure that it's maybe it's not as bad as the trail might be. So, and we make. Don't get me wrong. This was a steep climb down the side of this mountain. But in life, sometimes, we make it more steep or whatever, whatever the issue is. I'm using the mountain as the analogy here. But, the reward might be a beautiful waterfall that you can sit and relax by and see the nature of things and be a part of the continuing spirit of the planet, which is attached to the universe and the quantum and all these wonderful things. And we remain a part of it. So smile every day, even if you don't know what you're smiling about. Doesn't matter. Smile. Say thank you to the universe. Grateful for all of the things. As I get older, I'm really thanking every breath, literally, that I take in now, because it's like, I'm pushing 70, and my family members at 84 and 5 and 6, so 70, I got so many years left, I'm grateful for every breath that I breathe. I'm not trying to be a fatalist, but there's only so many uh, of these I got left. I'm just getting that old, but not that I'm going to give up or give in. That ain't it. But I'm grateful for every single breath and for every cloud in the sky, for every drop of rain. I'm just even more grateful because I'm still here to be able to experience it and to be able to share and to be able to for me, it's my contribution to the universe as a shaman in training to continue the prayers. So consider it, for me, my daily prayers are like a prayer wheel, um, where some uh, shaman type folk up, they will ring bells and they will spin wheels, and it's all in the prayers. In the Catholic Church, it's saying the Rosary. So in native traditions, it would be like a prayer wheel or a medicine wheel, in that the corners and different areas, and that if you had a medicine wheel on the ground, that you would go to certain areas of the medicine wheel and say prayers for whatever was appropriate for that area in the medicine wheel. And so in this continuation of the circle of life and so forth, as a shaman in training, then I am to continue the prayers, for folks to smile. And if they're having a hard day, that by my prayers to the universe, that somehow if you're in need of them, then this prayer is for you, kind of thing. And, you know, I know that my job is not what other people's are, my brothers and sisters and so forth, and having conversations and trying to explain some of these basic things to them as to who I am and what I'm about. I mean no harm to anyone. I want to show respect and honor, and somehow teach it, be the example, and hopefully it will mean something to somebody else and whatever it means in their life. And I expect nothing in return, but it is what I'm supposed to do. So whether it be a calling or a mandate on me or a soul contract or something, I feel how important it is to continue what I'm doing, because in for my belief at least, the prayers need to continue. And if that's my biggest job for every day is to continue the prayers of love and honor and respect to all beings, then I'm good with that, you know. Now, other people have other things in their life that they, become a part of. But, I have known about this for my own self for many years now. So, but I am your, I am your prayer moderator in a way. And some people say, well, what are you praying about? I just send out love, if it may be someone of you that comes to mind, and I just send out a good thought with a cosmic hug kind of thing, when I hear of things, where people suffered and that building that collapsed down in Miami kind of thing. That was weird, y'all. That was some really strange, weird stuff. That ain't normal. Just saying. Very reminiscent to the Twin Towers. Really strange. Shouldn't have happened. Buildings just don't crumble like that. They need help. Okay. But for the people who perished there, buried under the cement and the rubble and everything, and all the turmoil and all of the chaos and so forth that created, I send my humble, prayers to those people affected, but I cannot sit down and cry and become emotionally disturbed. It's more important that the prayers that we have, that we are stable for those people who have to be in the chaos. We have to be the strong souls that send our love and our prayers to those people affected, but we keep our wits about us. And that's the compassionate observer you hear me talk about all the time. We are the compassionate observers. When someone or somewhere in the world needs our prayers, we're there. But we can't let it ruin our day, you know, because then we add to the chaos. So we have to maintain our own integrity in with our conversations with self and our spirit, and with the universe, in that. So there is chaos and heartache and bloodshed and suffering. So the best thing we can do is stand strong with a spiritual hand, so that folks will be, so they can be strong in the chaos. So bacon is ready. Oh my goodness, don't even. I don't have any bacon. Stronger together. Yeah. So anyway, um, my soul journey and my soul contract, however you want to look at it, I'm sure is not the same as yours. And that's okay. We can have a conversation and y'all can hang out. But basically, in the long and short of things, it's really easy to just, live in a state of love, regardless of what comes at you. Because, if you don't give in and you don't give up, then yeah, I mean, there were places along our journey where it was raining like hell. It was uh, northern Dayton there. They had tornado sirens blowing the community because a tornado was nearby. Uh, I, we don't have sirens around here that I'm aware of. Uh, I've had two tornadoes go over my house since I've lived here, so never heard a warning. But that's just different places do different things, but that was an interesting, uh, event. But it wasn't like that all the time. But yeah, there was a tornado, tore up a barn and killed some livestock. But we can't live in fear. All we can do is just take care of whatever happens when it happens. And uh, you know, we might be having some, severe weather here in the next couple of days coming to South Georgia. Have to watch and see how this storm coming up is going to happen. But I'll tomorrow I'll check around and make sure see what's going on, because Monday or Tuesday we might be having some strong winds and some hefty rains, and that in and of itself is something you should be prepared for when there's a tropical storm nearby. But it is the season, you know what I mean? So, well, we just go out and fix the lawn chairs. You do the things that if, rainstorms come up or whatever. Um, so in life, it's the same way. Don't make it more than it is, Well, it's hurricane season again. Okay, don't freak out. Well, there's another tropical. Okay, don't get freaked out. But there are people who will freak out about it and they'll sit and watch the Weather Channel 24/7. Where's the storm? And I look out the window and go, well, it ain't here yet, No, I do watch the weather to see how things are, but and there have been those times where I have been glued to the set. Where's the tornadoes at? Till we lost power when Michael came through that time. That was a rough one. So, but have made it through that one, made it through many others. Such is life. Sometimes we get tornadoes, sometimes we get some storms, and sometimes it's sunny and clear and it's beautiful outside. And such is life. So we just deal with it. But in our hearts, we stay. I forgot the spiritual laws time to time. Hey, cheers to you, Este. So it's me again, Margaret. Yeah.
Is this the party to whom I'm speaking?
Yeah, Lily Tomlin. Yep. So anyway, my dear friends, yeah, if we live in fear, then we'll always be afraid. I'm going to do a card reading soon. I just don't know when. Like I say, I'm trying to. The trip took a lot out of me, but falling down took a lot out of me too. I am really sore and hurting. I'm not saying that to, you know, uh, for sympathy. It really hurt me. It surprised the shit out of me at how bad it hurt. And thank God I don't have brittle bones at my age, because it would have been the way I landed. Oh man, whew, it would have been rough. So I'm glad I'm as agile as I am at my age. But as an old grumpy person with arthritis, Arthur won't leave me alone. Uh, that fall really hurt. So, but anyway, no, I'm not trying to get sympathy, but it's going to take me a couple more days to like work the kinks out, get my shoulder back in whatever's going on. And I had some kind of stomach flu thing that was really nasty for several days. And I'm getting over that too. So it's been interesting getting back home and getting back to my regular thing, my regularly scheduled program. But in doing so, though, my energy level is better because I don't have that stomach thing going on. And I would like to do card readings for some folks. Okay, so that is on my agenda coming up. I just don't know when. It's just going to be in the near future. Okie dokie. So let me regenerate my energies, possibly go. I want to take Duggar down to the river, and the river's up right now because of all the rain. and it'd be really nice paddling. Um, so might go down to the river and paddle for a few hours, and you can't hurt an old carny guy. You know what? That's true in a lot of ways, David. And me being an old carny, I remember one time. Now we had a. I'm, here I go off on one of my tangents again, but blame it on David. Um, we had an old merry-go-round. It was like a 1912 merry-go-round. The horses were all carved. Uh, they were beautiful, and there were three horses deep. And 3, 6, 9. So there were 18 horses of the large ones because they were 3, 6, 9, three sections. Anyway, up on the top of the merry-go-round, they have what's called a commentator, and it's a big wooden thing with brass around it, and that's what makes the lights go in the merry-go-round while it's turning. They got these fingers that um, touch the commentator, and this one is the middle one's ground, and this one's for part of one half of the merry-go-round, and this leg over here is the other half of the merry-go-round. And so, anyway, we were tearing the merry-go-round down, and the commentator was still live, which we were taking. I was up top taking the canvas off. All right. And this was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're taking down the canvas and painted boards. Everything was great, big, huge boards that were linked and tied together with big steel rods because it was an antique uh, merry-go-round. Well built, put together. I mean, it was in good shape, but it was still an old merry-go-round. So, but anyway, as we took the top off, the dew settled on the ribs up on top, and I slipped and grabbed one of the steel rods that hold the spars up that hold up the um, horses, and my arm hit back against the center pole and landed across and arced across the commentator. So I had 110 neutral and 110, which ended up being 220. My arm hit that thing and it blew me off of the ride and out 10 feet from the ride out into the wet grass. And I'm laying there just shaking like this. And guys on the ride are going, Dave, are you all right? What happened? What happened? Well, they saw me slip, but I caught myself. But when I hit that 220 on that commentator for the lights on that thing, it threw me right across the fence and out into the yard, into the field uh, next to the ride. That was a really interesting, experience. People have asked me at times, have you ever really been hit by electricity? Well, I've not been struck by lightning, but I kind of feel like that, getting thrown off the merry-go-round in the middle of the night, having, gotten zapped. I kind of think I understand what it might feel like. It might not be the same, but, similar experience. High voltage and being thrown, come to mind. But, I try not to think of those types of experiences, but, there's been quite a few times it's like, how did I not, get killed from that? Um, anyway, I've survived so much over the years. It's like, in having conversation with my younger sister, she looked at me and she goes, "Oh my God, you've really been through a lot, haven't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, not just, in family stuff, but, because they'd never heard of some of my adventures and my, going out on the river and just doing stuff, or my escapades as a traveling puppeteer and all of the stuff that went along with, you've heard me talk about those things, but all those stories are true. Uh, so yeah, divine protection. I've had a couple of spirit guides over the years, and a couple of them gave up on me. They were like, "Screw you, you're crazy." We give up. But at the same time, I know that if it hadn't have been for some of that, quite frankly, spiritual intervention during some crazy crisis times, one comes to mind. I was way back on the back 40 of this property. I mean, literally 1,200 acres, and I'm way back in this field. And they had been bulldozing the trees and were building a pond. And so I was cutting firewood that season to sell, which I did, and also to stay warm by. And I knew the person who had the property, had free rights to go get the wood, and had a big bow saw back in the day. And the chain came off, and it went up my leg and sliced me open by myself at sundown on the back 40 of a 1,200-acre plot of land. Nobody knows where I'm sitting. Nobody knows that I have just cut myself, my leg slap open. I'm not bleeding to death, but I'm bleeding. And there ain't nobody there but me and the chainsaw kind of thing. Hollering for help or whatever was just not into it. And I remembered I had an old T-shirt behind the seat. I wrapped myself up. Um, I did my Boy Scout first aid, and the biggest thing I had to do was calm down because I wasn't bleeding, spurting, but it was an open wound, and it was all down the front of my calf, my shin bone, and I laid it open, boy. Let me tell you. But I wrapped it up and I was careful. I started the truck. I put my tools up best I could. I'm basically slinging stuff in the truck. Had to go through several gates where I had to get out and go open the gate and then close it behind me, kind of thing. That was tough, but I made it out and it didn't get infected. I took care of it, washed it up, and all that kind of stuff. And I was very lucky. But those are the kinds of things that it's like some people just don't ever experience anything like that. And, God knows that they shouldn't, but those are the kinds of things that I have lived through by myself, and had to get out of the woods and, find a way out. And so, yeah, some of my experiences have been spiritual in that, somehow along the way, somebody was watching out for me, in that it could have been a hell of a lot worse than it was. And so, I divine intervention. I try my best. It wasn't like I was being foolhardy, because I know better than be foolhardy around a damn chainsaw. You just don't be foolhardy around chainsaws. But the idea, though, that shit happens, and and for me, I had warning signs to be careful, but I was like, I had two more logs to cut before I was done for the day, and I should have turned the saw off when, and the next thing I know, it came off. The chain did, and did my leg a number. But the idea, though, that sometimes spirit will warn us ahead of time. And that was one of those times I really wish I had said, nah, I'm going to leave these two. The heck with it. I ain't cutting no more. And no, let me cut just a little. And that was the kicker. So sometimes we know we are warned not to get, the troubles heading our way. and we ignore some of those warning signs. But um, but in life, you know, regardless of the crazy stuff that's happened to me and so many close calls. I mean, my finger's been operated on. I've had broken bones. My back is bad because a um, a scaffolding collapsed. Just crazy stuff. Getting hit in the head with a tree, going outside to get firewood that one winter and getting knocked out. Crazy stuff has happened to me, but I'm a crazy old carny that, despite getting thrown off at a, merry-go-round in the middle of the night and almost getting electrocuted, almost drowned several times and freezing to death. I guess I'm just a cranky old bastard that, don't know any better, don't know when to quit. Falling the other day up there on the French Broad River, I was like, man, haven't I done this before? I'm getting too old for this stuff, falling sideways and everything. But I've been through three hells. Yeah, I've been through a couple of them too, Dominic. But anyway, I'm just reflecting. I guess I hadn't really thought about the carny thing or the chainsaw thing in a while. And just how close a call some of this stuff has been, where it just could have been a whole hell of a lot worse. And so, have I been protected? Yeah. Somebody's been looking out for my nappy ass over the years. They've had to. And some folks would say, well, you've had bad luck or this or that. Well, when I stepped on that, when that I stepped on, it was a big rock up there the other day. So, and I thought this is okay, but when it started to turn, I realized I was in trouble. But I almost recovered. It was, I did a fancy dance. Y'all be proud. But in the end, in the end, the rock won. You've been protected too. I think we all have. We wouldn't have made it this far. You know what I mean? And so for those kinds of things, yeah, I'm sitting here yakking and being stoned and just talking about stuff, that crossed my mind after all these years. But that's why I say, I give thanks to the universe because I've made it through all these things. But each of us, however many years old you are, you've made it. And be grateful for that. I've made it. Well, life's been tough and blah, blah. Yeah, but you're here. And, and there are, for me, being able to ride through the mountains and see some of the places that I have driven through before over the years, and to simply experience, smelling the mountain air and being up in the clouds and, just being there, just seeing it, witnessing it, was it an old memory because I used to go all the time, like, why am I not going to the mountains like I used to? I don't know. But to the point though, it was all of these old memories of wonderful times and of trips and looking out the window and seeing stuff and the spirit of life, the spirit of the mountains, the spirit of the waterfall, the spirit of the trees, the spirit of the creek, of standing in it with my bare feet, and folks looking at me going, is he just standing there in the middle of the creek? Yep, I'm just standing there in the middle of the creek with shoes off. Yep, I'm just out here standing in the creek. Yep, I said when I got up here, I was going to take my shoes off and stand in the creek. And what you doing? I said, I'm regenerating. I'm giving my energy. I took some of my crystals and put them in one of the little streams and let them get charged back up. And, it's what I do. And, I can kind of feel the coolness on my feet right here just thinking about it. So, but anyway, all right, I'm out of drink. I'm out. I'm now I'm getting a I've seen a lot of suffering. Yeah, a lot of us have, Isby. But here's the thing, we just can't dwell in it. We can't stay in it, if I wanted, like my friend the other day, after I got back, we were chatting, and he goes, "Are you all right?" And I was showing him my bruises and stuff, from where I fell. And he goes, "You're going to be okay? Okay, Dave, you're going to be okay?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm an ornery old cuss." Um, but it was that, I I wouldn't have missed it to be on the river. I wouldn't have missed it to be up there in the mountains. I wouldn't have missed it, even though I did slip and fall. Although I was trying my best to be careful. And I wouldn't have missed the trip down the mountain to see that waterfall. I just wouldn't have missed it for nothing. And that I'm grateful that the Creator sends me a spirit guide that'll, at least help me out. I didn't break my fall, but I still know how to land without, my bones aren't brittle, and thank goodness for that. And you know, gonna ask for a little bit of assistance here these next couple days, because I think the only way I'm going to get this muscle loose in my shoulder is to go get the kayak on the river and go paddle for a couple of hours and just, and work it out. So, but anyway, but I'm grateful that I'm still here and that it wasn't worse. And I'm grateful because I still have the opportunity to maybe go on another adventure. And so, in that, it makes me smile. It gives me something to look forward to, regardless of how hard it might be to be doing it, or how much pain it may seriously cause me. If I want to go look at a waterfall again, I'm going to go walk down that path. You know what I mean? So, regardless of what the pain may cause or I may endure or whatever, uh, the joy of the doing it, regardless of the inconvenience, to me is like it's worth it, one step at a time. So, anyway, I have compassion, but I'm not going to hurt emotionally like I used to. Good is be good. It's a very important lesson. And, because if we get lost in other people's emotions, then we lose ourselves, and that's just not a good thing. But I was speaking on this earlier in that for people who, were in the chaos of the thing in Miami, for example, we can send our love and we can send our prayers, but we need to keep our emotions in check, because otherwise it helps to create more chaos. And we need to be strong in the chaos. And it's not that we don't care, that's not it. But we need to be emotionally strong for those people who are really involved in it down there. And that's where the strength is. And that's the strength that we provide with our prayers here in a distance. So, but anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a great fourth, which it's 3:07 in the morning time here. And I've stayed up longer than I said I was going to do, but hanging out with y'all is great. So I hope this has meant something to you all. The reflections, keep up, keep up the good work. Every day's a new day, every minute's a new minute. And, for all the negative crap and all the pain and everything, I'm still looking forward to tomorrow. You know, my shoulder hurts like hell. It's been crammed into my spine, from that fall. But I'm going to work it out, because I'm an ornery old cuss, I guess. So, but I refuse to give up, and I refuse to give in, because life is too beautiful. There's too many wonderful things that just sitting on the river or just sitting beside that waterfall just sitting in the mountains, just sitting out here in my yard, just sitting and looking at what nature and what is around us. And in all these things on this planet, there is love. And the spirit of love is in all things, especially we human beings. So just look at a tree if you're feeling low and go, ah, the tree loves me. You know, ah, the grass loves me. You know, ah, that rock over there, it loves me. You know, and if you don't bring malice to the tree or the grass or the rock, it's true. So, but I know that's a crazy way of looking at the world from my point of view, in that, but if we understand the quantum and the science of things, we are all connected. So let's keep the connection going. I am what I am, says Popeye in the old days. So eat your spinach, right? So I love you, I love you, I love you, I do. I continue to pray that each and every day, and I mean this, y'all, that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of your relatives will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many wonderful blessings from the universe. Sometimes they come in little drops of mist, and that land on your cheek and make you smile. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the so many blessings and gifts from the universe. And in the law of three, that is always important to me, and I do mean it. I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, and all of those folks you may come in contact with, and you will continue to learn to accept and receive and to share that knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, the compassion, and all the many great gifts from the universe. And you continue to share the love. Cosmic hugs, everybody. It's good to be back home again. I've got many things that I now see in my radar is things are going to get gone from here in pretty short order. We have had to deal with some rain and some really nasty humidity. Holy crap. So they're all changes are what we make them, and every day is an opportunity to make those changes. So keep smiling, keep styling and profiling. And as we say from South Georgia, TTFN. Ta for now. Cheers, everybody. And keep it between the ditches. We love you. Keep that cosmic energy going. Thank you, Brian, for all in today and for all that we have done and you've done, and we will continue to do, both on your behalf and on our behalf. So until next time, ween everybody. Have a good one. Cheers.